Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today I wanted to talk about Jasmy and go over a pretty much just like purely technical overview of where Jasmy's at, because what we're seeing, at least in my opinion, is we're kind of seeing some flashing green signals going off, which obviously is good. But ultimately, I'm a little bit hesitant to, maybe take them too seriously just because of kind of the state of the market and where we're at. So I want to go over that, talk a little bit about kind of my thoughts of where things are, and then, obviously I'd appreciate your comments and thoughts in the comment section below. I do read through all of them and respond to all of them. So, kind of let me know what you're thinking about this situation that we're finding ourselves in, and, I'd love to talk further about it. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So starting out, we can see that Jasmy is sitting here at minus 1.5% on the day. But overall, it seems pretty decent, right? Obviously it's a red day in the market generally. We've got a couple big winners around here. XRP and Caspa are probably the two big ones of note. Helium is probably the big loser of note, followed by maybe Polygon after that. We have seen a ton of positive price action on Helium, so the fact that this is coming back isn't all too surprising. But I think just kind of comparing to the general overall market average, Jasmy's pulled back probably less than most of the others here, which I would say is probably a good thing. It means they're stronger comparative to some of these other projects within the market, which is definitely good. So before we go into talking about the technical analysis and going into price analysis on Jasmy, I want to talk about the liquidation map as well, because the liquidation map, in my opinion, has been kind of a cheat code in terms of getting a good read on where the market's going to be going. It, maybe not exactly at what time, but just generally a good direction of where it could be going. So what we can see here in the liquidation map on the 1 day is we are tilted, we're a little biased towards liquidating shorts, which would mean a continued rise up in the market. Also, you will see that I am using Bitcoin. This is mainly because, as we're all probably relatively aware, the market kind of moves on Bitcoin. So, they do actually have a Jasmy ticker in here somewhere. I found it before. But the problem is that the volume just isn't there on Jasmy, right? Like if we look at Bitcoin, $1 billion to the long side and 1.4 billion to the short, just on the 1 day time frame. Jasmy does like 1,000th of that or 100th of that. So it's definitely like not even close in comparison. So that's why I like to use Bitcoin. But what we can see on the short term, it is definitely tilted towards short liquidations, which should be moving up. And then on the 7 day, we're seeing actually a pretty interesting flip, right? Because almost always we've been used to seeing, oh, yep, it's always going to go up, it's going to liquidate longs, or it's going to liquidate shorts. The market is over bearish right now, right? Well, now what we can see on the 7 days, it's actually not even close. There's about 7.5 billion in liquidations to the downside, where we see only about 1.4 billion in liquidations to the upside. So, what I could imagine seeing on, maybe the 1 day is maybe we see kind of a quick jump up to liquidate most of these levels, because we can see we are very close to a point where we could be liquidating. $1,000 move could liquidate the majority of the market here from shorts, and then we could start to see a move down, which I do think, in my opinion, seems like it could be pretty likely, because then we can start moving to the downside, eating up all these liquidations. So if we look at the 30 day, we can also see an interesting flip as well. Obviously, it is still pretty balanced in the sense that we've got about 6 billion to the upside, but we now have 6.4 to the downside. So the chart has officially switched to where it would be more painful for the market to move down than it would be to continue its move up. So this is something that I always like to kind of keep in the back of my mind as I'm going over charts, and you'll see why here in 1 second. But I always like keeping this in the back of my mind, because what we do know is that exchanges like to make money, right? They make money primarily by liquidating people, right? And what is this telling us? Exactly where people are going to get liquidated, right? So this is something that I feel like cannot be understated, because it's always good to have an idea of where the money sits. So anyway, with that said, moving on, I want to go look at the Jasmy chart. So if you are finding this video helpful and informative this far, please do give me a like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Obviously, I did just break 1,000 subscribers, which is a huge goal of mine. And so now, obviously I'm just looking to continue growing the channel and hopefully reach as many people as I can and hopefully and kind of keep some good information about the larger crypto space going, I guess, right? So Anyway, moving back, what we can see here is this is the Jasmy chart. We're looking at the daily candles. What we can see here is about since the beginning of July, we have since started to form this descending wedge. And as you know, descending wedges usually are relatively bullish indicators. We've been over this before on the channel, and they are pretty reliable in terms of when they do break out to the upside. It usually means some pretty decent gains. And so what I wanted to show here was a couple of different things. So we can see we have some local highs back here and also some levels of support up here as well. And then also same thing, we got local highs, local highs, local highs, local highs. Same thing here, local highs, and then basically the like highest local high. After that, we got to go start looking a little bit further back to when things were like 20, 30 cents. But what we can see is we've got this downward or this descending wedge that we have officially broken out of, right? So if we zoom in just a little bit, we can see we have officially broken out. We've closed above. So you can see we haven't actually retested this upper bound of the descending wedge yet. We actually have just kind of tested this kind of general zone of support. Obviously it has dropped below this line, but as I also have mentioned on the channel before, I really don't love using lines as points for support, just because usually it's a zone, right? Like I think this is a good area that kind of explains that, right? Obviously this one didn't come up to the line. This one went through, this one went through, this one went through. None of these came up, but generally, like, we can tell that this is all in the same like zone of resistance, right? So we know that there's something there, but we can't tell you 3.201 cents is the number, right? Like that's just not how that works. So what we can see is, we are kind of testing this level of support here, given that, this level of support and this level of support are going to be so close. Maybe it's possible to come back down, bounce off the line and continue up. But generally speaking, just from a pure like technical analysis perspective, we can see that this is a very, very bullish thing that has happened. Now, this comes to like my caveat that I was talking about a little bit earlier. If you were to give me this chart and just give it to me in a vacuum, right, with no other context of anything that's going on within the crypto space, the macroeconomic space, anything like that, I would look at this and be like, yeah, this is good. Like, I'm probably going to take a trade here. And, obviously we are in Margex, so it is a leverage trading platform. I probably take a leverage trade and, maybe set my stop loss for something down around this range. But just generally, this is a very good thing that we're seeing, right? And so I would probably be looking to take that trade. However, we now need to add in the context of, well, usually Bitcoin is the first mover, generally speaking. We are still in Q3, which has historically been a bad month. Every single September within a halving year has been negative for Bitcoin up until this point. Currently, Bitcoin is positive. So that is not great news, right? Because if history is to be believed, we're definitely going to be going down, and we're likely going to be lower than where we are currently by the end of the month. So there's these types of things. Obviously, there's persistent recession fears. There's these types of things that are causing a lot of concern within the wider market. And that is something that is definitely, it plays into my calculus as far as like wanting to take this trade, particularly if I would be taking a leverage trade, because I would know, like, yes, this chart looks very good, but overall the odds are not in our favor, at least just from a macro perspective. Again, this isn't financial advice. I have no idea what's going to happen. This could go to, 4 cents tomorrow. I have no idea. But just generally speaking, like, odds are not in our favor. And so this is something that I've been trying to keep in mind as I start to see these bullish things happening. I mentioned this in my price prediction, or not my price prediction video, but my ICP video a couple days ago, where we went over the ICP chart as well. Same type of thing. The chart for ICP looks really, really bullish, with the caveat that macro, like from a macro perspective, things don't look great, right? And so that's something that I'm keeping in mind, and I'm trying to stay very aware of before I making trades like this. So what we can see is I actually have also brought up the Bollinger Bands. This is another thing that, again, kind of plays into the calculus as well. Generally, when you're at the edge of a Bollinger Band, you tend to come back to the mean generally. So, a way that this could play out potentially is, if price continues to struggle around this line of support, that would continue to bring this Bollinger Band closer to coinciding with this descending wedge support line, right? So maybe what happens is price kind of struggles, continues to come down, bounces off both the Bollinger Band and the support level around this area, and then continues back up. But again, we are playing in the larger macro market of general uncertainty, expecting or having at least the expectation that Bitcoin is not going to perform well and things like that. So it's definitely hard to say. I think at this point, if I were to take a trade, it'd probably just be a normal trade. If I were to take a leverage play, I'd probably be waiting for it to come back to this support line just so I could set a much, much tighter stop loss than what I would be able to set right now. But ultimately, we are in just a general uncertain position because, like I said, in a vacuum, things look awesome. And I think I would tell you that, it's going to go this way. And, it's probably going to end up breaking through here just given some of the bullish momentum that we've seen within the market. However, we do need to remember the wider market and kind of where things are at. So ultimately, hopefully this help give you perspective. Obviously, I know I am very uncertain on what's going to happen here just based on what I'm seeing versus what I also am kind of implying or imputing onto this data as well from kind of the wider market. So obviously this is not financial advice, so my indecision should not have any impact on you in terms of whether you make a trade or not, because you should not be relying on my opinions to make financial decisions like that. That would be dumb. So don't do that. But ultimately, hopefully this helped give you some better context as far as what we're seeing as far as the overall Jasmy chart and then the overall crypto market and kind of how things are looking. We are starting to see some really bullish things happening. Actually, I'm just going to pull up the ICP chart so we can see the similar type of thing going on. But we can see here, same type of thing, massive months-long wedge forming, broke out, actually came back and retested, succeeded, did not break back through, and now we're sitting up on this line of support and resistance, right? So again, another bullish thing happening for ICP. Looks good. I would say in the grand scheme of things, this is a very bullish structure, but we don't know just because we have kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the room of Bitcoin in September not historically being a great time, coupled with the election, as well as a lot of these macroeconomic recession fears and things like that. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. If you do want to get into some of these leverage trades, feel free to use my link below. I use Margex. I've been using Margex for the basically exclusively, and it's been really, really good. I like their system. I like their UI. I like the UX. Obviously, charting in here is very nice. It works very well. So if you're interested, feel free to use my link below. They're doing up to $10,000 of deposit bonuses, as well as that $500,000 Caspa airdrop is still ongoing. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to check it out. Like I said, no pressure. It is very, it's not for the faint of heart, and it does take a level of skill and level of short-term trading acumen that I would say that not everybody does have. So just be careful if you do decide to try it out. Kind of dip your toes in first before doing a nice big cannonball, because it's good. It's a good idea just to kind of protect yourself and err on the side of caution that way. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the content in this video. If you did, please do leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, this is a relatively new channel, and I'm trying to continue to grow my reach, to reach more people on YouTube and hopefully provide some valuable and insightful information. If you do have any thoughts, comments, perspectives, anything like that you want to share below, please do drop them in the comments. Like I said, I do read and respond to all of my comments. So if you have anything that you want to share, you'll definitely be hearing from me. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.